Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. This is another of my productivity themed videos. I have previously talked about time management, motivation, procrastination. Those videos, my previous videos, will be linked down below. And I mean, if you have any specific requests for videos like these, then feel free to leave those down below. But yeah, today's theme or topic is essentially focus and concentration. So we're going to be talking about how I stay focused and concentrated for long periods of time. Now, how I'm defining a long period of time doesn't really matter. What's a long period for you might not be a long period for me, and it will change every day for yourself. So we could be talking here like half an hour, 1 hour, 4 hours or longer, you know. But I just wanted to talk about how I essentially get in the zone, you know. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I have hot lemon, which I actually almost burnt my tongue on before. I was not happy. I hope you enjoy it and find it useful as usual, so definitely like it if you do, comment down below, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when I upload. Definitely do that. I will be sharing 10 tips I have for you guys, and all of these 10 pieces of advice are going to lead us towards a state of feeling like in the zone and concentrated. Zen mode is what we're trying to achieve here, okay? So my first piece of advice is essentially to limit your distractions. And the one big distraction is technology, like your phone in particular, and say your laptop, Wi-Fi, the internet, social media. The best thing to do with your phone, first of all, is to just put it out of sight. And I have a dedicated spot in my drawer where I put it. It's not necessarily somewhere where I can't easily reach it. Like, I could easily just open this drawer and get out my phone, but the fact that it's simply out of sight means that you're not going to think about it. I also generally have it on silent, whether my mum agrees with that or not. I have it on silent because if you hear like a ping, a notification pops up, you are immediately going to be distracted and you're going to lose your focus and you're not going to be in that zone. We want to work towards that state, as I said, and so just put your phone somewhere where you can't see it. Under your bed, outside your room, up on a shelf somewhere. Just put it out of sight, and trust me, you will forget about it. Like, if you end up forgetting about your phone, that is an achievement, okay? I really like it when I just forget about my phone. I almost like feel as if I've lost it. It's such a great feeling to feel like detached from your phone, because in such a digitalized society, we rely on our phones for literally everything. And so when I've kind of achieved a state of being completely separated from my phone, I don't know, there's something really tranquil about that. But I'm not saying like lose your phone, because we don't want that happening. Also, along the lines of limiting distractions, I would say you need to shut your emails down. So if you're working on your MacBook or a computer of some sort, shut down your emails, because again, when they keep pinging in, they are just going to distract you. Sometimes, can you maybe work offline? Can you like turn off your Wi-Fi if you're just like writing an essay or you're writing an assignment and you don't need to use the internet? So yeah, and I also wanted to talk about music here, because for me, I've never worked or studied with music. I can't really do it. I don't like to be in absolute silence, but I also don't like to have music. Well, I've never actually tried it, so I'm not really gonna make a bold statement here. I am gonna do a video at some point where I try studying and working with music for a day. If music works for you and a specific type of music or sound works for you, that's fine. But I would say that if you know you are distracted by music, don't listen to music when you're working or studying, okay? Simple as that. I mean, Milka does come to mind when I think about distractions. Milka, stop it. What do you want? Yeah, she can sometimes distract me in a semi-ish good way. Just limit distractions, okay? That's the main point of this first tip. The second thing I wanted to say about maintaining focus was breaking a bigger task into lots of smaller ones. And this has like two main benefits I found. I love to-do lists. I love writing lists. I make my weekly plans. I then make my daily to-do lists. And when I'm working on like big assignments or essays or big projects of some sort, I will make myself a smaller to-do list. And the reason why this helps me, first of all, is because you are more likely to get on. That's not directly linked to this idea of focus and concentration, but it does help you start because it kind of makes you more inclined to get going with that. The second benefit is, however, more closely related to this idea of focus and concentration, as we're talking about in this video. Essentially, I find that if I have a to-do list and I can tick things off as I'm going along, I find that it gives me like regular boosts of motivation, and it reminds me and I convince myself that I can keep going, because you know, you can physically tick something off and you can see that you are making progress. As soon as you start taking some of those off, you are going to be determined, trust me, to keep going. And so that is what I do encourage you to do. So yeah, break big tasks, or any task really, into smaller ones. Tip number 3 is basically to train your brain, your like mind, and your whole entire body basically, if that makes sense, to focus on literally anything that you're committing to doing in your life, in your day-to-day activities, because the more you practice, the better you're going to be at like focusing and being able to concentrate. So for example, for me personally, I really enjoy long distance running, and long distance running takes a lot of like mental strength, because your mind is longing to stop and it's telling your body that you can't do it, even though your body can. I love it for so many reasons, but it really does train me to stay focused and to stay concentrated on what I'm doing. When I'm running like I'm in that moment, I'm in that zone, I'm in my running mode, and that is what I'm concentrating on, and that is what my whole body and my mind is focused on and dedicated to at that time. So yeah, I really can draw parallels between like me studying and working for long hours and long distance running. But I mean, running isn't for everyone. There are loads of other ways that you can like train your mind to stay focused. Really good things would be to like meditate often. I don't personally meditate a lot. I would love to really get into it. Similarly, say just sitting down with a book and just focusing on reading your book. But it really can be anything that you're doing, like whether you're cooking, whether you're cleaning, whatever it may be. Just make sure you practice getting in the zone and focusing on each individual task that you're doing at one time. Piece of advice number 4 is essentially to set timers and don't look at the time. If you do need to be somewhere and you have something at a set time, then okay, you maybe need to check the time. But I really do find that if I keep looking at the time, if I'm constantly looking at what time it is, it really distracts you. You're constantly like flicking between doing your work and looking at the time, almost wanting it to go faster. So instead of looking at the time, that's why I say you need to set timers instead, because that will just, you know, again, force you to like stay focused for that period of time. It kind of puts you under pressure, and that's why I quite like it. And I also feel like I'm being held accountable. Like I've set a timer, usually Alexa sets the timer, and I kind of then feel as if, you know, I have to make the most of this time. Like I have to focus in this period, because otherwise, like, what's the point of me setting the timer, you know? When I used to have, say, like 2-hour ballet classes, everyone has off days and down days, and sometimes I just wouldn't feel like being in that ballet class for 2 hours, and I would always find myself being distracted by the clock in those situations, because I just keep looking at the time and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's only been like 5 minutes. It's just so painful when you look at the clock, because it just goes slower and you're wishing away time, and like you really don't want that. You want to draw out time, you want to make time slow down, because you know, I constantly feel like time is running away from me, so don't look at the time. A very quick tip, number 5, is basically to make sure that you are fueled and that you've eaten enough, so that you are not thinking about food. Like obviously get snacks, get what you need when you're working, but if you are hungry because you haven't eaten enough, you're gonna get hangry. You're just gonna think about food and it's going to distract you. You're not gonna be able to get in the zone. Your brain needs a lot of fuel when you're working, so I do make sure I have my big meals, especially if I'm working for really long periods of time. I have to make sure that I've eaten food and that I'm satisfied. Like my stomach is satisfied, my mind is satisfied, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling ready to get in the zone. Kind of along those lines, tip number 6 is to make sure that you're not tired. Like get enough sleep. And I cannot emphasize how important this is, because again, if you're tired, you're not going to be able to get into that zone. Some days you're not going to feel as energized, or you're going to feel a bit more tired. It's more tired, right? Not tireder. Sleepier. Whatever. You get what I mean. You're gonna have general and subtle kind of fluctuations, but if you're really, really sleep deprived, it's just not gonna work. Trust me. And that's why I don't pull all-nighters. I've never pulled an all-nighter. I've never worked the entire night. I may do it for a challenge video, but I won't do it on the regular, because BBC News every time. I don't do it because I know it's not sensible, and similarly I make sure that every day I get at least 7 or 8 hours sleep, because I am someone that needs to get that amount of sleep to function, and to function optimally. Like, you want to be functioning your best all the time, like don't settle for anything less. I think we're on tip number 7, but essentially this one is to stop multitasking. Okay, in the past I used to think that multitasking was the key to efficiency and like success, whatever success is. We're not going to go there in this video, but I thought that multitasking was a really great thing, but it turns out it's not good at all. It's literally impossible to devote 100% of your attention to task A and then 100% attention to task B. You get my point? Like, it's just not gonna work. So commit to one task only at one time, okay? If you're focusing on one thing at a time, you will do it faster, you will do it to a higher standard, it will be of better quality, and you know, it's all round better to just do one thing at a time and then move on to do something else. Instead of like multitasking, so like simultaneously doing lots of things at once, I would suggest an alternation session. So I've talked about this before in my time management video. I will sometimes do something for half an hour and then a different activity for half an hour and then repeat that. I sometimes do half an hour, as I said, I sometimes do an hour, it just depends. But I would definitely say do an alternation session, that's what I refer to them as, instead of trying to multitask. Number 8 is basically to do with motivation. I want you to, before you start doing what you're planning to do, remind yourself of what you're trying to accomplish at the end of it. Like, remind yourself of how it's going to feel when you have completed that task, because that is going to also help you enter that state of being in the zone. You kind of have to make like a leap of faith to get into that zone, and I feel like this is your kind of springboard. Think about that feeling of accomplishment when you've ticked everything off that list, when you can tick it off your main to-do list, when you can walk away from your desk, you know, saying you wrote that essay. It's the best feeling. Whether I'm studying, whether I'm working, whether I'm running, whatever I'm doing, I always try and remind myself of what I'm trying to achieve at the end of it. And if you ever feel like you're kind of working and you're losing a bit of concentration, just keep reminding yourself of what you're trying to achieve. The next thing I wanted to talk about is kind of questionable, considering I recently made a video where I like worked and studied in lots of different rooms in the house for a day, but I do think that this point is still valid and it has truth in it. So this is all about having an optimal work environment, and as we know, for me it's my desk. It's here with my cushion, sometimes with Milka. The door has to be closed, it's open, it's bright, it's spacious, I'm comfortable. Just make sure you have that place where you can go to like get in the zone. For you it might be your bed, that's totally fine. It might be the ensuite, the bathroom. Like, I tried working in the ensuite in the bathroom in that video. It didn't really work, but it might work for you. It might be, you know, an office in your house, it might be in the kitchen, wherever it may be, outside. But what I'm saying is, I do think that having an optimal work environment is really good, because you associate that place with being in the zone and being focused and staying concentrated. So yeah, if you want to watch that video where I tried working in different places, then definitely check it out. But what I would say I learned from that video was that even if I'm not in my optimal work environment, like, I can still find myself getting in the zone, like I can still focus and concentrate, and that is kind of testament to all of the other factors that I'm talking about. So it's not as if an optimal work environment is necessarily essential, but I do think it helps. Tip number 10 is basically to say that if you're really not feeling it one day, then I would just say don't even try starting. Like, don't try and get in the zone. Either just like take a bit of a break, however long you need, try and like compose yourself, and then maybe come back to it a bit later that day or the following day. It's fine. Like, everyone has those down, those off days, and sometimes it is just so much better to just leave it and to just come back to it either later, as I said, or like the following day, or like a few days later. Having said that, I would try and fix what you can. Ask yourself, have you made that mini to-do list? Have you had enough sleep? Have you had enough to eat? Have you put your phone away somewhere? Are you in your optimal work environment? Like, try and see what you can fix. And if you can't fix some of them, or you're just still really not feeling it, then as I said, just leave it. Personally, I do have quite a high threshold for giving up. I hate giving up, and I rarely give up because I am often just so determined to get things done. Like, I have built up like a tolerance and this high threshold, and I set the bar really high. But yeah, I just think you need to know yourself. As I said, I do have quite a high hello. So many distractions right now. I don't know why I have my phone sitting right in front of me and I'm filming a video about distractions. Anyways, So yeah, that is my 10th piece of advice. Those are my 10 tips. And to kind of pull everything together at the end of this video, I want to say if you've kind of been through those 10 steps or those 10 tips, then you should find it so much easier to get in the zone and stay focused and to stay concentrated. And I mean, there will be some more personal things for you. So for me, I will always have a clear plan. I will most often have that mini to-do list that I'm going to work towards. I try and minimize stress, but I often find that if I have a little bit of stress in my system, I get a buzz and I kind of find it gives me a boost. Other things for me, like for example, I need to have my hair usually in a bun. Like, when do you really see me working and studying with my hair not in a bun? Like, my ears cannot be red. If I get red ears, it's just gonna be really difficult for me to focus because I hate that, as we know. And yeah, with all of this collectively, I can really like teleport myself to my study work zone, you know, and I literally am not distracted by anything. Like, I cannot hear Emily in the shower. I cannot hear Dad playing the trombone downstairs, which I think he's doing right now, and I apologize if you can hear it in the background. Like, I don't attend to anything else. There might be so many other things going on around me, but I can still focus on what I'm doing. And as I said, I don't think that is due to just one factor alone. That's due to lots of things acting simultaneously and being optimized, as I've said. But yeah, I hope that these kind of tips and these pieces of advice can help you also get into your zone. I do just want to remind you that we're not robots, we are humans. Some days it's going to be a walk in the park, it's going to be so easy to stay focused. Other days it's going to be harder. But yeah, that is kind of everything I think for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said at the start, give it a thumbs up if you did. I want to thank the sun today for shining. I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, but yeah, as always, I will speak to you very soon in another video.